WSC, so welcome me instead. Thank you to AD for the fantastic chase sequence of lights there. How posh was that? Just a show of hands. Who was eating downstairs and listening to the jazz earlier on? Just so there were one, two, three, oh, yeah, a few. It's quite good, isn't it? On a Friday night, every week before the comedy or whatever's going on here, there's always free music in the bar and a lovely menu. We sold out today. So, yeah, do keep supporting the club. Now, I just wanted to come up, as you know, you don't need to be told to turn your mobiles off or anything like that, but I just wanted to welcome you. Thank you for coming through the storm. The comedians have all made it. It was touch and go when I was going to pull the show earlier on, but one of them couldn't get here on the train, but it was a fire at Acton that stopped him, not the wind. But I did see someone's Christmas tree rolling down the road, so they no longer have a problem getting rid of that. But we didn't do the thing. We didn't do the thing on this. Careful of the stage. We're not insured. So, ladies and gents, welcome to this wonderful comedy night, and I'm not going to say any more, because last time I was up here I did a load of Arthur Smith jokes, and we run out now. And he's coming back next time, so I'm not going to take away from his set. So let's have a big round of applause for your first act of the night. It's Mr. Tom Glover.
Hello, Mark. Lovely to be here. Very, very nice venue, isn't it? Very nice. It's the first time I've ever done a gig in a clean air zone. Very middle class. It's so posh that you have to pay for your air. I've not paid for my air. Will I be okay? I'm not going to suffocate on stage at any point. Good, good. Yes, I'm a very brave man. I've come up from Devon in the midst of Storm Eunice today. Yes, thank you. Yes, thank you. You can applaud. Yes, my wheelie bin has blown over, but I am here. Yes, it's a nice drive up from Devon. Driving through, I've driven past a lot of places. I'm pretty sure you can only reach via the back of a wardrobe. Kingsbury Episcopi, Charlton Mackerel, Western Zoyland. All these places sound like two landowners got drunk and decided to settle their disputes over a game of Scrabble. Zoyland alone is worth 63 points on a triple word score. Yes, so yeah, I live in one of the many seaside towns you people of Bath will only ever find yourselves in if you fail to get your first, second or third choice on the Sun £9.50 holiday. Give me a cheer if you've ever been on one of those. Oh, one person. Two. Did not expect that at this gig. I'll be honest with you. What's your name over there? It's okay. No, it's okay. I'm quite friendly. What's your name? Shit. Your name is Shit? So posh in Bath. You can name a child Shit and no one questions it. Yeah, it's very modern actually to name your child Shit. Sorry, what is your real name? Jeanette. Hello, Jeanette. So, and are you a local lady, Jeanette? Yeah. You live in Bath, and you've been on the Sun £9.50 holiday. Jeanette, that's great. And what do you do, Jeanette?
What do I do?
Yeah.
I'm retired.
You're retired. You're retired from?
Preschool music classes.
Preschool music classes. This gets posher. The more you go into it, that's not a real job, is it? That's not a real job. And it is a real job. Sorry, Jeanette. But yeah, I'm not judging you, Jeanette, for going on the Sun £9.50 holidays. I've been on them myself. It's the people around you that are judging you, Jeanette. That lady's put her handbag under a chair now, because she's worried, Jeanette. Some people put their mask back on, Jeanette, because it does attract a certain kind of person. I hate to stereotype, but it's almost always tattooed, toothless skinheads. Yes, sometimes with their husbands as well. Living in caravans with feral children. It's the only time I go to a holiday camp where even the kids club has a happy hour, Jeanette. It's what?
It's definitely feral.
There are feral children, not like the ones you get to your preschool music classes, Jeanette. So who are you here with, Jeanette? Sorry. Oh, is this controversial, Jeanette? Who are the people you're with? Is this a swingers table? What's going on? Have you just met tonight? Is this some kind of jazz vibe? The swingers meet at the jazz club, you just swap your keys in the bowl, you take them upstairs. Jeanette takes you to her caravan for a £9.50 holiday that you'll never forget. Are you sort of in a relationship or not in a relationship? No, you haven't decided that yet?
No, she's with me.
She's with you? But why is she so reluctant to be with you? That's what I'm worried about.
That's another question.
What's your name, mate? John. Why does Jeanette hate this so much? You don't know. You seem like a nice guy, John. You seem very relaxed about the fact that she hates you. How did you meet Jeanette? Oh shit, again. A party 13. 38. 38 years ago. Not quite. Go on, so who approached who at the party? I wasn't going to talk to you, Jeanette, but it just seems so intriguing that you sound like you've got something that you're hiding away from us. Like the preschool music teacher as a cover. Nothing.
Let's say it was mutual.
It was mutual, okay. And these two people? You sound pretty stoned, to be honest, sir. You sound like you're a jazz club kind of guy. That's fine, but thanks for coming out. It's rough, the Sun 950 holiday, but that's what you get when you spend less on the holiday than they do on air. It's a what?
It's an evening herald holiday. They like the Sun holidays.
It's an evening herald holiday.
Yeah, from Plymouth.
Yeah.
Oh, is that a thing?
Yeah.
Okay, how does that work?
You just go on holiday. Like the Sun holidays, they're not really.
We've been derailed here. I don't know, this is not what this gig is about. Yes, that's where I live though. It's a real small town. It's one of those places where sort of everyone knows each other, which is great for building a sense of community spirit, not so good for online dating. Too risky in a small town. Nothing worse than finding out the lady you've been talking to online for 2 weeks is actually your auntie. One thing worse than that, finding out it's your auntie after you've sent her the dick pic. That is awkward. So awkward, we almost cancelled the date. It's the West Country, it's okay, it's encouraged. The other downside is when I do a gig locally, I'll often know people in the room. My nan and granddad came to watch me at a gig not long ago. Now, I love my nan and granddad, but I don't want them coming to watch me do comedy necessarily. I call grandparents in their 70s, but all of modern technology. Like for my nan's birthday, we got her a Fitbit. Yes, his name's Raoul. He's a part of the family, we call him Grandad Raoul. He's great. A couple of years ago, she got an iPad for Christmas. Never had a computer before, suddenly decided she wanted an iPad, so of course we got it for her. In hindsight, we'd have drawn an apple on a chopping board. She'd been none the wiser. It's a £200 lap tray is what Nana's got. But she has got an email address now, so once a week I go out to help Nan with her emails. She will tell me what to write. I'll type it in the box and send it off. And she'll give me the money for the postage. So do we need to respond to all these emails, Tom? I said, I think we better do, Nan. This Nigerian prince says he has some money for you. So I'd send it back, international special delivery, make sure it gets there. And they came to watch me at a gig, worst ever heckle of all time, Nan and Grandad at the gig, because Grandad was, I don't imagine I'd be heckled at this gig. I imagine if you don't like me, you'll probably just start an online petition. Heckled at the gig, Grandad was wearing his party shirt, everyone's looking at Grandad in this shirt. I had to address it from the stage. I said, Grandad, come on then, what's the story behind this shirt? He said, this shirt was made in 1971. It was like yours, sir. Very bright, very white, everyone was looking at the shirt. What's the story behind your shirt? How old is your shirt? A year. It's a new one. It's a new one. It's a pandemic shirt. It's a shirt you bought in the pandemic and thought, I'm only going to wear this indoors. It's from a cancelled holiday. I like that idea though. So it's a reminder of the holiday you never had. Where you should be. Where you should be now. What's your name, sir? Ralph. Where was you meant to be?
The West Indies.
The West Indies. Oh, and are you with Ralph? No. You're not with Ralph?
He could be.
He could be. What's your name? Malcolm. Ralph and Malcolm, and you're just you've been thrown together on this table. You were just enticed by his shirt. Is that right, Malcolm?
Yeah.
Yes, that's good. You don't know each other.
I've told Malcolm not to shout out.
You've told Malcolm not to shout out. Does Malcolm tend to do that? Oh, a lot. You're a regular, are you, Malcolm? I thought I wasn't going to get heckled, but now I'm scared of Malcolm. Have you killed a comedian before, Malcolm? Because you're giving me a death stare at the moment, Malcolm. You have killed one before, and if I got killed tonight, people would just say, probably the storm. That's what they would say. You would take my car, you'd push it off into a ditch, and be like, yeah, we never saw him again after the gig. Malcolm, stop looking at me like that, Malcolm. You're scaring me. What was it? Oh, my granddad's shirt. So I said, what's the story behind the shirt, Grandad? It was made in 1971, older than anyone in the room. I said, that's incredible, Grandad. 1971? I wasn't even born in 1971. What was going down in 1971? At which point a man at the back stood up and shouted, "Your Nan!" Now that is a heckle, all right? And this is in my hometown. People know me. They all tend to look at me expectantly to have a comeback, and I had nothing. Nan looks at me, she gives me a nod, turns to the guy in the back of the room, and she goes, "Oi! Not when he was wearing that shirt, I wasn't." Turner gave me a thumbs up as if she saved the day, and she had not saved the day. Yes. I was the first comedian on that night, and then one by one the comedians came on stage, started grilling my grandparents about their love life. It's not a good time to find out that your grandparents own fluffy handcuffs. By the way, like, if you're into like handcuffs, like S&M, that's fine. I just don't think it's something that's been designed by grandparents in mind, has it? It's not. That's the sort of thing you introduce into your love life when you feel you need to add an element of danger into the bedroom. My granddad has had a triple heart bypass. He's been tied to a bed by a woman who I've seen take more than 10 minutes to open a lid on a jar of pickled onions. Quite frankly, how much more danger do they really need up there? And I do not know what Raoul is doing in all of this either. That sounds like my granddad, but I don't think it is. I'm jealous, to be honest. I've just been through a lockdown like all of you. A lot of time to think in the lockdown. I'm 34 years old now, and I'm pretty sure I never want to have children now. Unfortunately, I've already got 4. But too late to do anything about it. And when you've got young kids, you have to make an effort to keep your love life alive, don't you? Give me a cheer if you've got young children. No, one person maybe. You do though. Like a friend of mine, he said, "Have you tried role play?" That table, as Jeanette's table, have tried it. Of course they have. But I was like, "Yeah, of course we have." And he was like, "What? The sexy nurse, the French maid?" I said, "No, but in the winter, she dresses like somebody who's just exceeded their baggage allowance on a Ryanair flight, and is now trying to wear the entire contents of her suitcase to bed." Everything goes on in the winter with my partner. I don't know if this is universal, all right? But men, we wear the same thing to bed all year round. If we're cold, we stay under the covers. If we're hot, we stick a leg out. And that is all the temperature control we need, isn't it? That's all it is, fellas? Yes, you're nodding, sir. If it's really hot in a heat wave, we might turn the pillow over to the cold side, but that's as far as we go. We'd rather die of pneumonia than put on a vest. That's what I'm trying to say. But my partner has so many clothes in the winter. She goes up to bed 10 minutes before me just to get changed. And sometimes I wake up in the night having a panic attack. I've fallen asleep in the middle of a Primark on a Saturday afternoon. So much, she could leave me in the night, wouldn't have to pack a bag, just straight out the door. That's why we don't have sex, actually. It's nothing to do with the kids. It's because she's turned herself into a human version of Pass the Parcel. By which I mean I have to take lots of layers to get to the prize, yeah? Not that I put some music on, invite all my friends round, and pass it around. Thank you for explaining it further. Yeah, 4 kids. Stay-at-home dad. I'm a stay-at-home dad, which is rare even in this day and age. I'm the only dad on the school run. And I can see the mums don't trust me. They look at me and the kids, they went to look at a family of hedgehogs. They think we're cute, but they do not trust us to cross a road safely. They will intervene, right? They come up, they always speak to my little girls if she's in charge. They bend down, they go, "Oh, is Daddy looking after you today? Did Daddy do your hair?" I'm like, yeah, it's 2022. Just because I'm a man doesn't mean that I do not know how to operate a pair of clippers. Honestly. I'm a good dad, but you're learning all the time. I remember first week she went to nursery, I got told off because she wasn't keeping well enough hydrated. Didn't know that was a thing. She's making a pasta picture shape of a horse, not running a marathon, all right? But I taught her a game to get her to drink her water, which she loved. Take her back the following week, I get told off because the game I've taught her is inappropriate. Basically, it got to snack time, all the kids got a beak of water each, and she led a chant of down it, down it, down it. When it all finished, got them all to put their beakers on their heads. I think that's fine. Every child in that class drank their water that day. But apparently you can't teach a child drinking games. I used them a lot. Like, she used to nap in the afternoon when she was younger. When they nap in the afternoon, they don't sleep at night, and it's horrible. So what I started to do, when I started to see her nodding off on the sofa, I'd go out in the kitchen, I'd got a thimble, I fill it with sherbet, drop in a shot glass of apple juice. That's a baby Jaeger bomb. 3 of those will keep them up for a wedding if you need to. And my personal favourite, she used to hate taking cowpole. Now before she has a cowpole shot, licks a bit of salt off her hand first, bite a lemon afterwards. It's a cowpole slammer. Anyone in from social services? I got her a bike seat for her birthday. This is nice. So we go out on the bike, bit of daddy-daughter bonding. But what I've noticed is when I go out cycling, she's not with me. People look at me, and then they look at the empty bike seat, as if I've forgotten something. So now what I've started to do, just to mess with their heads, as I cycle past those people, I just start talking to her as if I think she's meant to be there. This is a great joke, even if you don't have kids. So I get one of these seats, and then you just find a steep hill, just that, like up there, bob it down the hill, you get to the bottom, you make eye contact with someone, you go, right, hold on tight, there's another big bump coming up. Yeah, she's very well behaved. Not said a word since the bridge. Yeah, it's a very small town. It's one of those places everyone knows each other. We got a piece of graffiti in the pub toilets the other day, all right? On the wall, someone had written, "Punk's not dead." And a couple of days later, somebody wrote underneath it the words, "Fuck off, Mike." That's how small town it is. Not even a graffiti can be anonymous. No, well, that's Mike, the only punk left in the village. Lovely guy, works in Waitrose. He actually does. Mike the punk works in Waitrose. We have a Waitrose. I don't mean to boast, Bath. I imagine you've got 3 or 4. Do you have a Waitrose? Of course you do. Has it always been a Waitrose? Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's the proper Waitrose. Ours used to be a Summerfield, which isn't the same, is it? It's not the same, because the Summerfield was a different supermarket. Like when you go into Waitrose, I believe you get like a free coffee to go around as you do your shopping. When it was a Summerfield, you used to have to give them £1 as a promise you wouldn't steal their trolleys. That's the difference. But we've now got a Waitrose store that's staffed by the Summerfield employees that were there before, and it doesn't work. Like, you go to your Waitrose, you hear conversations you don't hear in any other supermarket. Hear people saying things like, "Excuse me, I'm putting together a little antipasti. I just wonder if you recommend some dry cured meat to go with it." And they say, "Certainly, R6, there's some delightful serrano ham. My partner and I had it on the Sun Terrace only last weekend." And they say, "Thank you, Susan, see you at Pilates." All right? That's how Bath Waitrose should work. You go to our Waitrose, ask that exact same question, get a very different response. It goes a little something like this. "We don't do antipasties. Just Cornish and cheese and onion. And I've not been trained on a deli counter yet. But if you go up there and ask for Barbara, she has some Billy Bareface luncheon meat. And not only does that make a cracking sandwich, but if you poke out Billy's eyes, you can pretend that's your own face." And they say, "Can I see your manager, please?" And she says, "I be she." They do try their best. They try their best. There's a girl I went to school with. She used to work in the Summerfield. She now works in Waitrose. She has her own aisle. She's doing well. But I went in there the other day, and she had the uniform on, but she was itching her scalp over the bread counter. I know. And I tried to ignore it. I just went up to her and said, "Excuse me, do you have focaccia?" She went, "No, mate, this is just mild psoriasis." I won't tell you exactly where I'm from in case Jeanette's going on holiday there. So, you are wondering. I don't know enough about you to trust you yet to tell you exactly where. Good. It's good to be back out doing this. It's good to be back out performing to people. And I've had a busy couple of months. I had a vasectomy 2 months ago. Any vasectomies in the room? Yep. Yes, I thought this was a vasectomy crowd. How long ago did you have it done?
20 years.
20 years ago? Wow. That is... I haven't got enough time to go into this, but that is... Because I haven't got a very good pain threshold. I think women have got a much higher pain threshold than men. And do you give me a cheer if you agree with that? Yep. Yeah. I think they have, because I know plenty of women who've had very successful home births. I'm yet to meet one man who's had a home vasectomy. Not one. Was yours a home vasectomy? Did you do it in the shed? Put it in the vice, get a hacksaw? None of that? No. A rusty hacksaw? No, I didn't know they did it under local anaesthetic. They were talking to me the whole time they were doing it. Literally pulling on strings like I was some kind of children's toy. But yeah, I had the vasectomy and I'm 2 months in. I've now got to give the sample to show that the vasectomy has worked. Did you have to do this 20 years ago? Yeah, you did. But you have to get the sample to the hospital within 30 minutes of producing the sample. I live in the rural West Country. My nearest hospital is 45 minutes away. I've yet to work out how I'm gonna get around this. All right, because you can't do it in the car because you're driving and you've got to aim it into a little pot, and if you miss, then it's void. Basically, what I'm trying to tell you is next week I booked in a wank at my nan's. That's what's happened. Visiting nan's on the way, halfway to the hospital. I'm not stopping nan. No, I don't need Tupperware. I've got my own pot. I'll be out in 5 minutes. That's what I've got on next week. Well, thanks for listening, guys. It's been good fun. I'll leave you with this one last story before I go. I used to be a postman. That's what I did before comedy. I quit being a postman shortly before the pandemic to do this, which, looking back, was an error. I quit being a postman. I thought I'm going to go out there, I'm going to perform, I'm going to get a round of applause every night. It's going to be fantastic. Within about 2 months, I was sat at home, and every Thursday I'd go out to applaud my postman friends, because they're heroes now, apparently. And so, I bet it's good to be back out again now. But my worst ever heckle actually happened to me in my post round. You don't expect to be heckled on a post round, but I was. Right? I was on delivery one day, I was minding my own business. And I saw this young lad walking towards me with his mum. And as he gets closer, this little boy points at me. He goes, "Mummy, what's that man doing?" His mum says, "He's a postman, he's delivering people's letters, that's his job." And the little boy said, "Why?" And his mum said, "Because that's what happens, we don't try very hard at school." Brutal, isn't it? Don't applaud it, don't applaud it. But I wanted to argue back, one say, hang on a minute, there's 3 of us here, only one of us doesn't know what a postman is. I mean, he's not going to be a high flyer, is he? Let's face it. But I didn't say anything, I just sort of smiled and nodded and walked on, and I thought she'd won, but don't worry. Happy ending to the story. A couple of weeks later, that little boy's birthday. That's right, bar 40 quid up and an action man. Yes, thank you, applaud that one, thank you. This is the wrong crowd for that joke. You're all judging me now, aren't you? That gets a round of applause in Bristol and they're proud of me, all right? Because 40 quid, it's all relative, isn't it? 40 quid, maybe not a lot of money to some people in this room, but 40 quid, remember, for me and Jeanette, that's 4 holidays with change. Yeah. Guys, thanks for listening. I've been Tom Glover. Enjoy the rest of your night. Thank you. Cheers. Good night.
Wonderful Tom Glover. Ladies and gents, we're going to have a very quick break, charge your glasses, have a wee, have a quick smoke, and we'll be back very soon. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We have a lovely second act for you. This chap came runner-up in the 2018 Bath New Act of the Year. We haven't seen him since. Welcoming back is Mr. Carzana.
Thanks very much. It's nice to be back, guys. I haven't been to Bath since I was voted the second funniest man that night, so it's good, man. It was sponsored by Love Honey then as well, and you got like a little kind of gift package from Love Honey. And I mean, I don't want to slag it off, but it wasn't great. Like, I thought there'd be some hardware in there, but it was just like edible chocolate. Well, all chocolate's edible. It's nice to be back, that's what I'm saying. How are you all doing, guys? You good? I was going to say, like, when Tom asked your name, sir, I swear to God you said Raoul.
That's my French name, but my name is Ralph.
Ralph, well, yeah, because I was thinking that's impossible. Raoul's my nickname, do you know what I mean? It's nice to see Tom again. I've not said it since he popped round. Anyway, too long ago for some of you, that's good. It's nice to be here, guys. I should just put your minds at ease. I am, like, meant to be here. I do appreciate I've very much got the look of someone who's lost their mum. That's what I'm going for. Thing is, obviously that is ridiculous because she'll be here at the end to pick me up. So. I told that joke to a friend of mine recently, and they were like, "Carl, you don't look like you've lost your mum." I was like, "Oh, thanks, mate." They went, "No, you look like Kevin McAllister, but if he'd gone on the holiday." Fair enough. Christmas was a long time ago. It's all good, guys. I should say as well, I'm one of those people, right? I've always been quite easily confused. Like, you're looking at someone who has learnt the hard way that the term extraordinary does not mean more ordinary. Well, not the hard way, right? I did a gig, a guy came up to me at the end and went, "Carl, that was extraordinary." I was like, "Yeah? Go fuck yourself." Talk to me like that. But the thing is, I had a very similar situation recently as well. Like, I had some time off, and people started asking me how I was going to spend that time. What I meant to say was lazing about. What I actually said was, "Oh, you know, sleeping around." If I'm honest, I just put it down to the pressure of meeting my girlfriend's parents for the first time. So it's a difficult day. Despite doing this as well, I've always been quite bad under pressure, right? And basically, before doing this, I used to have a job in a bar. I quit that job by telling the boss, "I've got to leave, I'm moving to Wales." Thing is now, whenever I see him in town, just got to pretend I'm back for a couple of days. Every couple of days. It's becoming exhausting, right? I've had to start coming up with Wales-based facts. Start making them up. He'll be like, "Oh, hey Carl, how's Wales?" I'll be like, "Oh, you know, still the UK's largest distributor of courgettes." I'll level with you guys, they're not. But he doesn't know that, that's why it's okay to lie. I'm not from around here either. Originally, I'm from Battle. Do you guys know Battle? Yeah? Like, one lady's like, "Yeah!" Sounds like you went to Battle, but you didn't have a nice time. Like, the thing is, I think it's quite an amazing place, right? Because I was thinking about it recently. I just think it's incredible that soldiers in 1066 were able to find a town with the exact same name as what they wanted to do in it. Particularly when I think of all the time I've wasted looking for a town called Lose My Virginity. But, I'll find it one day. Recently as well, a while ago, I lived in Brighton as well. Any fans of Brighton? Yeah, well, I'm going to shit all over it. I did like living in Brighton. Like, it's a nice town, but the area I lived in it was horrible, right? It was a place called Upper Lewis Road. Has anyone been there? Yeah, a couple of students in. Fair enough. You guys can't see this, but this man is not a student. But the thing is, like, we used to live next door to this real, like, student party household, right? And, like, pretty much every night they would have parties. Like, and to a degree, you wouldn't mind them having parties because, you know, a couple of years ago, those were exactly the sort of parties that the big dog here would have loved an invite to. Jokes on them, I'd have bought a quiche. So, but the thing, like, one night they had a party till about 5 in the morning, like to the point where I had to go out and sort out the situation. Exactly. Right? I think it's fair to say if the situation's got to the point where I'm sorting it out, there are no adults in the vicinity. Someone are very good at that sort of thing, as evidenced by the fact that before I went out there, I Googled how to disrupt noisy neighbours. if I'm honest, I wasn't that happy with the results, right? The first result was, have you tried opening up a dialogue? No. Because open up a dialogue is not quite the right term for telling someone to shut the fuck up at 5 in the morning. As if I'd be like, morning chaps, my name's Carl, from upstairs, and what I think would be really neat is if we play a game. In my hand I have a ball. The rules are, if you are holding the ball, you may talk. If you are not holding the ball, you go home and go to bed. And then just like when I was a child, I would take my ball and I would go home. Thing is, that's not actually what happened. Like, what actually happened was I went out and I spoke to the ringleader, and I could definitely identify him as the ringleader because he was wearing like a headdress made out of a feather duster and a tea towel. I went, pay my respects to the chieftain. I went, hey amigo, it's 5 in the morning, I've got work in a couple of hours, pack it in. I was very tough with him. He then went, look man, totally respect, you got work in the morning, but that is the life that you chose. Unacceptable, isn't it? Glad to see there's a few other people who made a similar choice. But he carried on, he was like, that's the life you chose, but equally, you could just choose not to. I was like, you young man, make a valid point. Long story short, sacked off work, went out, got mash up, now I'm a student. I'm not, I've got a job, and I'm deeply unhappy. I should just say as well, it's nice to be like in Bath because I live in Oxford now. Like my girlfriend and I, we moved there, I think, just because we were bored of like having expendable income. That's seen to that, don't you worry. But before that, we lived in Manchester for a couple of years, and we went there because, like a lot of people, we went to live in London and just kept going north until the prices got reasonable. It's not an obtainable dream. But like, it was nice up north as well. Like, the people there are very friendly, because pretty much every day in conversation, someone would call me kid. Like, when that happened, I'd be like, okay, see you later, daddy. What are you doing later? Want to come around mine and teach me how to shave? Love me. The thing, I did have some like weird experiences in Manchester as well. Like, a while ago, I went to a true crime meetup event. One of the group members asked me the question, who's your favourite serial killer? I panicked, I said Wolverine. If I'm honest though, guys, I do stand by that answer, he's my favourite. The thing is, like, that sort of thing happens to me quite a lot, right? Because basically, I'm always the person that complete strangers will pick to say something weird to. Like, the first time it happened was at a restaurant, and I don't want to show off to you guys, but it was a Harvester. Paid a lot of money. And it was the waiter who said the weird thing, right? He brought my food out, and as he did, he said something that I thought was particularly odd. He went, just to let you know, sir, that food was made especially for you. I was like, cool. I then spent the rest of the meal trying to think of a time where I'd been to a restaurant where the food I ate hadn't been made especially for me. I mean, granted, buffets are different, but the staff don't tend to come up to you going, just so you know, sir, that food made for everyone. A greedy boy. The second time it happened was at a swimming pool, right? At the time, I'd started swimming because I wanted to become a bit more hench, and I think we can all agree I've absolutely nailed it. Thank you. I don't know, actually, if hench is the right term. Like, I don't know what the kids are saying. Like, you seem pretty hip, sir. Friend of yours at the back? Him, hip. What word would you use for hench, sir? Ripped. I'll be honest, I was not expecting that from you. I thought you were going to be like, I don't know what hench is, but good choice, man. Would you say I'm ripped? Okay, well, I wasn't asking you, madam. If you guys heard that, somebody from the outside just went, no. I am not stripping off, sir. No. Guys, I mean, I'll be honest, I will do anything to entertain a crowd, but I don't think that's going to cut it. Anyway, the point is, I was swimming. And on the day that I went swimming, the water in the pool was quite hot. And this sort of elderly gentleman swam up to me. He went, ugh, it is like fucking soup. I wasn't really sure how to respond to, so I just went, yes, and we are the croutons. Oh, a little ripple there, thank you. A single round of applause is all I'm after. Why get it from everyone when you just get it from one? That's fine. So the third time this weird people talking to me thing happened, right? I was on an airplane flying to a different country. You know how airplanes work, right? Probably don't need to explain that. There was a guy sat next to me, right, who was getting really drunk, and it was obvious that he was, because he was drinking those little bottles of wine, but he kept leaning over to me going, are the bottles small, or are we all giants? It's like, I think you've had enough, sir. Took it away. But then, because I was quite nervous about the flight as well, like I started doing some drawing, and he like leant over again and went, oh, those drawings are amazing. I was like, thanks. But he then said, if I give you £10, will you draw a picture of my wife and kid? I was like, absolutely. Do you have a photo I can work from? He then looked me in the eye and he went, I want you to imagine them. I was like, mate, sure you're not imagining them? In the end, I basically drew Madge from Neighbours and Tracy Beaker, and if you're ever in that... I smashed it, man. It's good. Another applaud, very nice, we're getting there. That's 2 so far. If you add them all together, that's 1 round of applause. So guys, I've quite big news, I've got a girlfriend. I have just realised that I've already referenced my girlfriend and then I've done a big reveal. Doesn't really work. The thing is, like, I don't want to make it sort of too soppy or anything, but I just want to say, sort of publicly, that I just feel very lucky to be with her, you know, like... Sorry, I thought somebody said a swear. I thought an expletive came from over there, but it's fine. Nothing that a joke derailment won't fix. I feel very lucky to wake up with her, because every day is like waking up next to my best friend. Although obviously my best friend stopped hanging out with me. Apparently my sleepovers are too weird. It was worth it in the end, guys, we got there. The thing is, right, my girlfriend, right, she's got one of those, she's got a dad, and I like the man, but I don't claim to understand him, right? He is insane. He waits for his toast to go cold before spreading his butter. Exactly. I'll be honest, I've done that bit a few times. Never has anyone gone, what? I feel like I'm in 8 Mile. It's difficult as well, you know, like I'm supposed to stay in his house when he's doing that. Like, I'm supposed to sit across the table from him where he's like, no, not yet. Just the whole time thinking, that butter is never going to melt, my friend. I like resisting the urge to shout out, damn it, man, we are losing time. I think as well, though, like all of us can agree that butter is one of 3 things that should always be hot. Like butter, cheese, gossip, that's the trinity. Right? And it's very difficult to back down when I know that I'm right, because there's only one dish that is best served cold, which as we all know is? Gazpacho, that's right. Did somebody say my cousin? I don't think you've met my cousin, sir. The thing is, despite that, I do have quite a good relationship with my girlfriend's dad, right? Like, we have a laugh and a joke together. Like, we were having some banter the other day, and I knew that we were having banter because my feelings were hurt. It's not a good day. So we were talking, and he went, out of nowhere, he just went, well, to be honest with you, Carl, if you were in prison... Weirdest start to a conversation. It's like, if you were in prison, your prison nickname would be Little Bitch. I mean, that feels like the sort of insult he's been trying to work in for, just looking for the angle, like prison. But like, I don't get offended by that. I think it's funny because obviously, if I was in prison, my prison nickname would be the Golden Snitch. So. Slightly hurt that his nickname got a bigger laugh, but that's fine. Guys, I've been doing this thing recently where I've been saying things about myself that aren't true in order to make myself seem impressive. Like lying. I've been lying to people. It's only small lies as well. I don't really mess with big lies anymore because I did a big lie a few years ago and it backfired, right? I was at a house party that was being hosted by a lady that I very much wanted to impress. Right? And nothing was working. She didn't like my juggling. Nothing worked. And like with all house parties, the conversation quickly turned to the film Hook. And I don't know why... It's been a while, guys, but I assume that's still the case. I don't know why I said what I did, but I just went, oh, Hook, I was an extra in that. Because I wanted her to like me, right? But then she was like quite excited. So she went, oh, were you really an extra in the film Hook? So I was like, well, actually, you know, I say I was an extra. I had a speaking part. So I was in the lie and willing to commit, much more than some of the actors in the film Hook. Some, not all. But then, obviously, I never should have done that, and I never would have had I realised that they had Hook on VHS. They put the film on. So I was now at a house party, watching the film Hook, pretending to be one of the Lost Boys. And in some ways I am still pretending. But then they were very kind. They fast-forwarded right to my scene, and I sort of picked a kid at random. I was like, oh, I'm that kid there. They went, that's Rufio, Carl, you're not Rufio. And the whole lie just sort of fell apart. Just had to admit that I hadn't been telling the truth. And, obviously, I'm not proud of that. But what I am proud of is the fact that as of this month, the girl from that party and I have been together for 9 years. Oh, thanks, guys. There we go. There's the applause. When you all come together... Thank you. Obviously, I am lying, but for a second, you were impressed. What I quite like as well, some people just laughed at that, like the idea that I had a 9-year relationship, like, ha ha ha, whatever. That's good. So I found out this fact recently as well. So apparently my dad's dad, like my granddad, I think that's what they're called, he used to live in Sicily. Apparently he was a don in the mafia. Exactly. Let me tell you, the apple has fallen very far from that tree. Right. He was a don in the mafia. I've been described as sensitive by my own mother. It happened about a year ago. I'm not totally over it, if I'm honest, but the thing is, like, I was quite excited by this fact, so I told my girlfriend about it, and because my surname's Carzana, she was like, oh, does that mean the family in The Godfather is based on your family? I was like, Julia, yes. So you know what I'm like with a film-based lie, I can't help myself. But then I looked into it a bit more, and apparently, if one member of the family receives the title Don, that title is then shared down through the family. So technically, you're looking at Don Carzana. I suppose the reason I'm telling you guys that is, just in case this set doesn't end well. Just watch your backs. I do a favour for you, you do a favour for me. I am quite worried about the Don situation though, right? Because now that I am a Don, like before, if someone annoyed me, I'd just be like, oh, I'm upset, whatever. Now, whack 'em. Whack 'em, whack 'em, whack 'em. Whack 'em. That is why my mafia nickname is going to be Whack 'em Phoenix. Thank you. Yeah, I agree with some of you. It's not a great joke, but I enjoy the wordplay, so it's staying in. I'll tell you a little bit about my other granddad as well, seeing as you asked. He's a great guy. Like, he's always had this ability to just say what's on his mind, but out loud and at volume. Like, yeah, I wish I could do that. Like, my favourite time was at my brother's wedding. After the best man speech, he just shouts out, poorly written and poorly delivered. To be honest, guys, that's why he's not invited to any of my gigs. Also, the fact that I just referred to my brother's wedding as a gig, that is, This next bit will probably surprise quite a few of you. I find conversations quite difficult. Don't know if that comes across. The thing, I never know when it's my turn, which is why I've started putting my hand up. In the traditional sense, not as in for Detroit, I love this city. couple of club heads in, yeah. But all right, my kind of people. I was going to say, what are you doing after this? But then I realised what I'm doing after this is going home. But the thing is, I was talking with some friends recently about their love of the beer Hoegaarden. Straight away, the hand's gone up. I used to work in a bar. We sold Hoegaarden. King of the conversation. Thing is, my mates were then like, oh, great, let's go there. I was like, ooh, they think I'm in Wales. Can't really go there. Guys, so you'll have picked up on this already, but obviously I'm quite an edgy comedian, and as such... Yeah, laugh it up, but Don Carzana does not take well to disrespect. But obviously, because I am so edgy, I am aware that I might have, lost some of you with the edgy stuff I say. I just want you to know I'm fine with that. And also, just bearing that in mind, I think nursery rhymes are threatening. Don't at me. And obviously, we all know what the most threatening nursery rhyme is, right? Yeah, it's 10 green bottles, right? Guys, you look like you've... 10 green bottles. Because, admittedly, it starts off pleasantly enough. I've got no problem with the first line, 10 green bottles sitting on the wall. That's fine. because at that point in the song we're just scene setting. Then the second line comes in. I'll be honest, I don't really have a problem with the second line either, because that is 10 green bottles sitting on the wall. I mean, I think that line is just there for the people who didn't listen hard enough to the first line. But then things start to turn a little bit sinister, because if one green bottle should accidentally fall, there'll be 9 green bottles sitting on the wall. And we wouldn't want that, would we? In fact, I think what happened to that first green bottle was just there as a warning to all the other green bottles. That's what happens if you go around town running your mouth off. I should say as well, spoiler warning, I don't know if all of you know how this nursery rhyme ends. Turns out all the green bottles had been going around town running their mouths off. And the moral of the story is always recycle. Well, thanks very much. Now you can... I feel like I've drawn too much attention to the round of applauses, so it's, I'm aware as well some of you tense up during that bit. I just want you to know that Don Carzana had nothing to do with the disappearance of those green bottles. As far as I know, Don Carzana is an upstanding businessman and a pillar of the community. Guys, that's nearly my time. I'll just I'll tell you this last thing before I go. I feel like some of you have picked up on it already. Raoul certainly has picked up on it. As soon as I walked on the stage, and look on your face, Raoul, you're like, there's a man who used to be a singer-songwriter. Guilty? Well, I bet you're probably thinking, well, the song's sad. You know it. Okay. Raoul's looking at me like, he's going to kill me. But the thing is, I was thinking about how I used to be a musician recently, and I did enjoy that time in my life, but looking back, I've realised that I wanted to be a comedian because, I would talk in between the songs, and those bits were just getting too hilarious. Just like that, thanks. But then, anyway, I'd be like banter, turn it into real bantermime. Oh, yes, I did. Then you guys go, oh, no, you didn't. It's fine, we'll do it again. Oh, yes, I did. Don't heckle me. Thank you. The thing is, though, the worst thing about that time was I used to play the Outcast song, Hey Ya, right, which is a great song, but I used to do the call and response bit at the end, but to no response. I think it's fair to say there's nothing worse than a grown man stood in front of a room full of people going, all right now, fellas, what's cooler than being cool? I can't hear you. I said, what's cooler than being cool? All right, yeah, ice cold, okay. All right, okay, I'll leave. Ladies and gentlemen, on that note, I am going to leave. Now, don't have me leave this stage here for nothing. I want to see you on your baddest behaviour. Let me substitute. I feel like a lot of you don't know the words to that song. Okay. I'll tell you what, guys. I mean, I do need some sort of finale to this because otherwise it's just been me talking about nursery rhymes and confusing the majority of you. So, to bring this thing home, I'll count to 3. We'll all go shake it to shake it, and then clap and get some more drinks. Does that sound good? Okay. I feel like only Jeanette is with me on that. I'm going to count to 3. It's going to be me and Jeanette duetting. Let's see what happens. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, just... Even I didn't join in, and it was my idea. Guys, I'm going to leave it there, but yeah, thanks very much. It's lovely to see you, and I'll see you again. Thanks.
Give it up for Carl Little Bitch Carzana. We've got another short break before we bring on your headline act. You know what to do. Shortle once described him as smooth, classy, and elegant as a vintage Scotch. A seductive performer. But he's older now. Give it up for Alan Francis!
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for that kind word. Thank you, Nick, for that quote from, some years ago, 20-odd years ago, so in the past. But and let's hear it for the acts you've seen. Tom, who was on earlier, and Carl, who is charming and young and full of hope. It's funny, I was doing a gig the last time I was in Bath. 20 years ago I was living in Bath, that's correct, sir. Yes, we did. Yes, we were talking at the bar, weren't we? Yeah. Yeah, I lived in Bath briefly, about 20 years ago, in a very unsuccessful relationship. Yes. I love that, unsuccessful. I mean, I'm not sure whether you mean, you're sorry for me, or,
Sorry, it was unsuccessful.
Oh, you're sorry it was unsuccessful. Yeah, because I would have stayed in Bath. I mean, life takes these journeys, doesn't it? It's a meandering river of adventure. And, basically, she was an insane alcoholic. That was the reason for its lack of success. But we did stay in a flat in Lansdowne Crescent, which was designed by the 18th century architect Playfair, who also actually designed a lot of Edinburgh, which is where I'm from. And that's what you and I were talking about at the bar. Architects. Yeah, because we're crazy fuckers, aren't we? We're crazy fuckers. We talk about architects. But it is great to see here, because the last time I was in Bath, I did a gig at the Further Education College. I don't know what it's called, down near the bus station there. And what's it called? The college. The college. That's the sort of thing they say in sort of places like Eton, isn't it? The college. Yes, he was in the college. Yes, he was debagged in the college. Yeah, the college. Yeah, the college. Although they weren't very posh, the kids, but they had hope. And I had to kind of, I felt sort of that I had to sort of say to them, look, I am a cynical and bitter, middle-aged, fat bastard. That's what I had to say to them. And so you can imagine what a comfort it was for me to come here tonight and see that, I'm not alone. There are a few of us here. Because it is, how do we pick through what is going on those of us of a certain age, I remember when, when I was young and slim, and I didn't realise that this was going to happen to me. I didn't realise I was going to expand in this way. It's quite a shock, actually. It is quite a shock. When I see fat kids in the street, I think, you're preparing. You're doing the right thing. Because it is a shock. Because we don't just expand in middle age like an airbag in a Nissan Micra. That would be easier if you just have. You could actually plan for it. You could have a night in the diary, expansion night. You could have it on the calendar on the fridge, couldn't you? Oh, it's expansion night. Yeah. We better get those trousers ready for expansion, because the trousers I've got they're not going to do for. No, we've got to get some outsized double D. No, it's. I mean, and then there are times when you think I've got to do something about it. I mean, the other day I was getting out of the bath and I caught sight of myself through the steam, like a Buddha emerging from the water. I thought, that's it, you've really got to lose this mirror. That's got to go. You've got to get rid of that. You can't be, you've got to get your priorities right. But I also, the society we live in as well. I mean, it seems so accessible, fattening food, sweets. We've got Easter coming up. You go into a shop now, there's a mountain of Easter eggs. A mountain! I mean, it's insane. It's insane. It's just like foisted on us. And it's so difficult to eat healthily. It is hard. I mean, in the car, I went into the service station, I thought, I'll get an apple. Get an apple, and I'll be good. Get an apple. £1.40 for an apple. £1. I mean, on principle, I won't buy it. 2 Snickers Duo, £1. You're a fool if you buy the apple. You're an idiot. A lunatic. I imagine what a sub-Saharan African child would say about it. You bought the apple. You bought the apple? Have you any idea how much of the calorific value of the Snickers Duo? And you bought the apple? You decadent Western bastard. So I was doing it for geopolitical reasons. It was kind of, I was doing it because I don't want to rub the third world's nose in it, And also because I'm a fat cunt, and that's just, that's a kind of side issue. But it's hard, like in W.H. Smith, I'm buying a book in W.H. Smith, I go up to the counter to pay for the book, and the guy's like, would you like to buy a family-sized bar of chocolate with that? For £1. And I showed him the book, and I said, what, with How to Lose 2 Stone in 3 months? And he's like a young guy, he's just like, yeah. Well, I said, look, I'll tell you what, put the book back, I'll take 4 bars. So here we are in Bath, and we're at the... Yes, there are lots of things. We've had the lockdown, of course, we've had Boris Johnson. I was hearing him, actually, the other day, I think it might have been earlier today, I heard his voice. It actually makes me sick now. When I hear it, I don't think, I'm not that old, I'm quite old. But I lived through, the first Prime Minister I remember was Harold Wilson, and I remember Jim Callaghan, and I remember Maggie Thatcher. I didn't like Maggie Thatcher, but you kind of think...
Iron Lady.
Pardon?
Iron Lady.
Well, that's what she was called, yes.
But she didn't tell lies like Boris Johnson.
No, well, listen, you and I are on the same page. That's just kind of what I was about to say, isn't it? That is almost exactly what I was going to say. She was an Iron Lady, or the Russians called her an Iron Lady, and I didn't like her policies particularly, but, she wasn't a fucking privileged, lying scumbag. She wasn't that. Whatever you thought. I mean, even people on the far left would be like, fucking hell, Thatcher. At least she was competent. At least she could do her fucking job. Whatever you think of her, You didn't want to fucking hold her head down in a bowl of fucking washing up liquid. And she spent more than 1 second doing her hair as well. Margaret Thatcher would spend at least an hour doing her hair. No, she wouldn't just go like that and then go into the House of Commons and try and wing it with no fucking, it's horrifying. I mean, in fact, I was at a party recently in London a couple of weeks ago, and there was a guy there with a Che Guevara t-shirt on. And the classic Che Guevara t-shirt. And, I've lost you. And it was sort of, you know, he was like one of these guys who's like, well, you know, you get these sort of lefty guys. I mean, I used to be a bit like this, but these lefties guys who sort of say that, you know, everyone's a fascist. He's Gandhi's a fascist. And you're like, sorry, Gandhi is, yeah, he sold out. Gandhi sold out, did he really? Nelson Mandela, fucking Nazi. Really, is he? Was he? Well, I always thought that he was one of the good guys. I'm the fucking Nazi, the ANC. They sold him down the river. He's like, yeah. So I was having a conversation with this guy. And it's quite interesting talking to guys like that. I mean, I love it. I'm like a red rag I'm like a moth to a candle flame. So whatever the analogy is. And he was going, you know, he goes, yeah, the Tories are basically Nazis. That's what they are, they're Nazis. And I was just playing the devil's advocate bit. I was saying, well, you know, I mean, listen, I'm not a Tory. Please, don't think me a Tory, but it's a bit of an exaggeration. I mean, they're not. I mean, the Nazis committed genocide. You know, I mean, the Third Reich killed millions of people in a brutal extermination program, you know. They killed 6 million Jews. I mean, that is back of the net genocide. I mean, that is top corner, you know, absolutely out of the park genocide, you know. The Tories, they don't quite have the record of the Third Reich, you know. I mean, you know, I mean, when Ian Duncan Smith was at the Department of Work and Pensions, you could measure the amount of people who had to commit suicide or who died because of lack of benefits in the thousands, not the millions. It is nowhere near the same legacy as the Third Reich. I mean, it's worse than Harold Shipman. Ian Duncan Smith is worse than Britain's most notorious serial killer. But he's nowhere near as bad as Eichmann. You know? I mean, in fact, Ian Duncan Smith could happily put on his literature on the stuff that he, you know, the leaflets that go through letterboxes. He could have Ian Duncan Smith better than a Nazi. He could say that without any fear of someone saying, oh, that's not right. You know. Ian Duncan Smith, better than a Nazi. But he would have to say, in small writing at the bottom, but worse than Harold Shipman. Worse than Britain's most notorious serial. In fact, you might actually have to even go for even more detail, because Germany was a population of about 70-odd million people, and virtually everyone in Germany in the 1930s was a member of the Nazi Party. They had to be. If you weren't in the Nazi Party, you were finished. If you were like running a butcher shop and you weren't in the Nazi Party, your butcher shop got bricks through the window. So you had to join. So really, it would be more accurate to say Ian Duncan Smith better than 1% of Nazis. Because the vast majority of members of the Nazi Party were actually reasonable and nice people, not like the cunt that is Ian Duncan Smith. You know, I mean, anyway, that's, you know, so this is the conversation I was having with the guy. But it is that thing that they go on about, the Tory. I mean, with Cameron and Osborne, who started this thing of saying, we have to make the difficult decisions. Sorry. The difficult decisions. Yes, you know, taking benefits away from single mothers, that's a difficult decision. Whereas, you know, I mean, that's actually the easy decision, isn't it? It's not the difficult decision. The difficult decision is making bankers pay more tax. That's the difficult decision. The easy decision is taking a toffee or apple away from a child with Down syndrome. That's the easy decision. What you're doing is not, it's the cowardly decision. You know, I mean, if you were a skin, you know, if David Cameron was faced with a skinhead with a baseball bat who had a toffee apple, and a child with Down syndrome who had a toffee apple. Who do you think he would take the toffee apple from? He would make the cowardly decision. He would make the easy decision. The difficult decision, double the old age pension, tax the bankers and legalize drugs. That's the difficult decision. That's the decision we want them to make, But we have this, we're totally in hock to, bankers and these people. There's just there's no challenge to it, is it? I mean, I'm with the HSBC Bank. I've been with them for years, and they're horrifying criminals. They're horrifying. They're absolutely unreal. They launder money for South American drug dealers, barons. And the other day they phoned me up, the HSBC. I used to work in a call centre, so I was one of those people they describe when you phone up a company like British Gas, and a robot answers the phone and goes, if you want to pay your bill, press 1. And you're like, fucking, I want to talk to some fucking guy. I want to pay my bill. And it's like, they don't have my issue. They don't have, if you've been sent a bill and think we're taking the piss, press 5. They don't have that. Now, for anything else, press 7. I'm like, yeah, for anything else. And then they put you onto this sort of Vivaldi's Four Seasons thing. You're Vivaldi's Four Seasons. Why do they always use that? You're there listening. And it's a beautiful piece of music. I mean, it's an actual work of genius, Vivaldi's Four Seasons. It's amazing. But, I mean, it's such a bad recording. It's really tinny. You can't hear the bottom, you can't hear the cellos or the basses, or, it's awful. I mean, Vivaldi would be horrified. I cannot imagine Vivaldi would be wandering around Renaissance Italy thinking, I dream that one day they will listen to my music in call waiting systems. Angry customers given bills they can't afford. He'd be horrified. He'd be up there in heaven saying to Mozart, Mozart! Because that's what you'd probably call him. Mozart! They're listening to my music in call waiting systems, and Mozart would be like, you're lucky they listen to mine in fucking elevators, mate. They're Philistines. The age of enlightenment is gone. They're all conspiracy theorists and lunatics now. They have no idea what's great art. No concept of it. So you're listening to this, and then you hear these sort of voices here saying, did you know you could pay your bill online? I knew that. If you smell gas. And when they say that, I'm thinking, listen, I've been on the phone for 15 minutes now. And now you're asking me if I smell gas? I mean, the entire building would have blown up by now. Now? You wait till now to remind them if you smell gas? What? I mean, their priorities are just insane. And then, of course, they say, a robot just answers the phone and just goes, key in your account number, followed by the hash key. And I'm like, I can't find my account. Because I've been on the phone for 20 minutes. I could have had everything ready, and of course I don't have anything ready. And now I'm like going through a drawer, like, where the fuck is the fucking... And the computer, the robot, doesn't give you any... It's like, I'm sorry, I didn't get that. I'm like, just give me a chance! Just give me a chance to find the damn thing. I'm sorry, I didn't get that. I've got it! It's 5, 7... We are transferring you to our dedicated customer service team. And that's when I think, dedicated. I used to work in a call centre, and we weren't dedicated. We turned up late every day, go for a spliff at lunchtime. We never showed any dedication. It wasn't like, when it came to the coffee break, And our supervisor's going, right, it's coffee break. Darren, do you want to go for a coffee? No. I'm dedicated. I'm not leaving my post. I'm dedicated to the customers, you know. Like we're in the SAS or something, you know. No, we didn't go for it. So when the guy from HSBC phoned me up, I took his call. Because I'm thinking, I used to work in a call centre, and I know this guy is not a chairman or high up in the bank. He's quite a lowly figure in the bank. So I'm not going to take my hatred of HSBC and their criminality out on him. And I'm always wary of answering the landline, because it's never anything good. You know, nobody I know ever phones me. It's never anyone I know. You know, not since my father died. I mean, my father used to ring me on it, but he's dead now. So it's not him. It's people trying to sell me shit. People trying to con me out of shit. So I'm wary when I answer it. You know, sometimes it's not even a real human being, it's like a recording. You answer the phone, it's like, this is a message from Blue Star Consolidation Services. If you have debts of £5,000 or more, we could consolidate it into one. And I always tell them to fuck off, you know. Because it's like I'm like, fuck you! Fuck you, you fucking, you know. But I'll get caught out one by, you know, they'll be like, no, fuck you. Oh, I'm sorry, mate, I thought you were a recording. No, I just sound like a recording. Very good for doing jobs like this, but not so good when you're making love. That's good, do it there, that's good, that's great. That's good, do it there, that's good. That's good, I'm coming, I've come, thank you. But they're just... There was one that phoned me up, they pretended to be, some people here may have had this, they pretend to be from Microsoft Computer Corporation. And they're just so obviously not from there. You answer the phone, and I always knew it was them because they wouldn't say anything. When I answer the phone, you just hear this. I'm like, it's them. And then after a while you go, hello, you have computer in your house? Like, I mean, what's the answer to that? Well, yeah. Yes, I do have a computer, yes, yeah. I mean, most of us do now. I mean, if you'd phoned someone in the 1970s, they might have said, well, actually, no. I don't have a computer. I have a calculator. I have a Sinclair Scientific calculator that does logarithms. And it cost £8.50. It's very expensive. So I worked out a way, because my late father, who was deaf, and he was very frustrating talking to my dad, because I would say, have you had a nice... I'd go and visit him and say, you know, are you all right? And he'd be, hey! And it was just like, oh, God, you're going to go through this all day. Why don't you... Where's your hearing aid? Hey! Okay. I was just going to ask you if you'd had a nice day. Hey! Did you have a nice day? Hey! A nice day? Did you have a nice day? I've not been paid. Okay. What I meant was, did you enjoy yourself? Hey! Did you enjoy yourself? I've been on the shelf since your mother died. Okay, all right. So that's where we are. And that's how the day went, you know. And but actually, I was like, hey! A mouse! Like, no, computer! What, in the future? You say I'm going to have a mouse in the future? No! This is Microsoft. What, in the loft? No, it's Microsoft Windows. I've had the Windows done, son. There was a lad, he came round with a chamois leather, he did the windows. They ended up hanging up on me like, fuck you, you deaf old Scottish bastard, fuck. So they haven't phoned me back. But you know, I answered the phone to the guy from HSBC. He was called John. He was just like, hello, this is John here from HSBC. I'm like, hello, John. Yeah, because I'm nice to him. And he went, hello, is Alan Francis there? And I'm like, yeah, you're talking to him. This is him. You phoned me up, and here I am. He said, oh, great. It's John here from HSBC. I just want to talk about your current account. And I'm just thinking, oh, cool. All right, let's talk about it then. Let's talk about it. You know, it's the day of reckoning. Let's talk about my current account. And he's like, okay, do you mind if we just go through some security questions? I'm like, well, hold on a minute. You phone me. I know who I am. You know, I mean, you know, you phone me, I answered the phone, it's me, what do you want? Let's just talk about it, what do you want? He said, oh, I'm sorry. I can't continue the call unless we go through some security questions. I said, well, how did you get this number? He said, well, you're one of our customers. I said, so, you saw my name on a computer screen. My phone number is next to the name. You dialed that number. You asked if it was me. It is me. What do you want? And he said, well, I'm sorry, I can't continue the call unless we go through some security questions. I said, well, who are you? He said, well, I'm John from HSBC. I said, yeah, but I don't know that, do I? I don't know you're John from HSBC. You could be anyone. I could be an old lady with early onset Alzheimer's. You know, and you just phone me up to try and con me out of money. You know, the sort of thing that the government say isn't a crime. You know, fraud, that sort of thing. You're trying to fraud me. I don't know who you are. And he goes, well, I'm John from HSBC. I said, yeah, but you're just, I don't know that. Do you mind if I take you through some security questions? And he's like, what are you talking about? I said, okay, what is the date of birth of HSBC? He said, I don't know. I said, I'll tell you. It was 1839. It was founded to fund the Opium War, which was waged against the Chinese in order to keep hundreds of thousands of Chinese peasants addicted to opium and boost British profits in the Far East. He hung up. But I know he'll phone me back because I owe HSBC a fuck of a lot of money. It's only a matter of time. But yeah, but it's incredible, the world, the way it's come on since I was a kid, the technology we have. I'm sure most of us have this, do we? A smartphone. I use it all the time. I mean, I think I might be getting early onset Alzheimer's because I use this when I forget simple things. I'll Google it. Like, Google is a way of... I mean, like, you know, my father used to go into a room and forget why I'd gone into the room. I go onto the internet and forget why I've gone onto the internet. No, by the time it's got up, I'm like, what was it? Oh, fuck it. No. I've no idea, you know, but I'll use this for sort of things like, what's that, it's grown, a plant grown in northern India. No, not heroin. No. Tea, that's right. Can I have a cup of tea? Has it got to that stage? I mean, it's incredible that there is more information at our fingertips, in our pocket, than there was in the ancient library at Alexandria. It's an incredible thing to think that. And the phone is a lot more fireproof. The ancient library at Alexandria was burnt down 20 times, or possibly more. And it was burnt down not because some guy carelessly threw away a cigarette. It was burnt down, deliberately burnt down, by religious zealots who didn't want people to know the truth. Because there were books in the library that said the truth about the nature of the universe and things like that. Like the Earth is a planet in orbit around the sun. So they burnt it down. In fact, and this went on for centuries, this sort of anti-science thing from religious sort of zealots and people in power. They put Galileo in prison because he suggested that the Earth was a planet in orbit. Prison! What it must have been like for Galileo in prison. You know, in the prison yard, you know. Sort of in the exercise yard, they're sort of there. What are you in for, John? Assault and battery. Dave, I murdered my wife. Clive, armed robbery. Galileo. I put forward the hypothesis that we live in a heliocentric solar system. Fucking nonsense. Turn him over, lads. It must have been horrendous for Galileo in prison. You know, he must have to not only, you know, be right about the nature of the solar system, but to be horrifyingly sexually abused as well. But I've just never understood technology. I am so hopeless with it. Where I'm staying at the moment, I'm in London, and it's great London. I mean, I'm originally from Scotland, and I love Britain. I mean, I'm not really a Scottish nationalist particularly. I mean, I have a lot of sympathy with them now, given the current state of British government. I kind of think, yeah, you know, you'd be insane not to want to unshackle yourself from this madness. But I kind of love the country and the way, you know, all the different people. Like, London is a great place, and there's lots of really great people there. And the accent in London is a very criminal accent, the London accent. They always seem like, you know, it's like when the Londoners, I always think they're going to rip you off somehow. You know, even though they're being quite friendly, they're like, all right. You'd be like, yeah, watching, you know, hold on to your wallet. I mean, you never get Cockneys doing adverts, voiceover adverts for financial services. I mean, like, you get Northern, because people trust the Northern accent, don't you? You'll get a Northern going, you know, Yorkshire Bank. Your money's safe with us. You never get a Cockney doing that, you know, like, we'll take your money. Don't worry, we'll give you it back. I don't think so. It's like you don't get Cockneys. You know, you don't get Cockney newsreader. You never turn on BBC News 24 and it's like the headlines. It's all gone off again. You know who. You know where. Or a weatherman. The weatherman's never a Cockney. You get a northern weatherman. Northern weathermen, they're always very worried about the garden for some reason. It's going to be a bit cold tonight, a bit nippy, get them plants indoors. Get them indoors, get them under the duvet with you. Keep your trousers on, no need for that, we're not talking about that. Just never a Cockney weatherman, it's because the BBC don't believe we would ever believe a word they would say. Tomorrow, no word of a lie, sunshine. On my life, mate, it's not going to rain. On my children's lives, it's going to be a great day out in the garden, little barbecue set, $4.99 each, fucking bargain, mate. I love them, but I stay in the East End, and there's a neighbour of mine who's he's like a sort of white boy Cockney kind of guy, you know, and he's like wears tracksuits, and he's quite young, he's like 20 odd, and he's got an ASBO. He's been given an ASBO. It's an antisocial behaviour order. Because he has been being antisocial. He has. He's a nasty little boy. He's been putting dog shit through an old lady's letterbox, which I think you'll agree is pretty antisocial. Especially when you get the old lady to sign for it. You know, this is antisocial in extreme. But anyway, I needed to use my computer, and I'm hopeless with technology and computers. And I needed to. This is me with my mouse. This is me miming the mouse. I needed to print a little A4 thing that I put in the lobby of the flat that basically said, Clive, that's his name. Clive is coming into the flat. Can you make sure you close the door? Because he's been coming in and he'd had a piss in the stairwell. He's antisocial. He's antisocial. Smoked spliffs in there. And I'm trying to print this out. And, you know, I've written it up and it's in caps and I've highlighted it so that it's going to print all, you know, really dark print and it's going to be bold. It's all fantastic, all that. And then I just press print. And, you know, it comes up on the screen, can't communicate with printer. And I'm thinking, well, that's between you and the printer. You know, that's not my issue. You know, why are you burdening me with that? You know, I'm just, you've got a job to do. You're the computer, you're the printer, do your fucking job, just print, you know, print. Print, you just won't, you know, so it doesn't matter how hard you press it either. You know, because I'm printing it harder every time. I notice I'm going, print, and I mean, I actually fisting, well not fisting it, but you know, but hitting it. Print. I mean, I'm putting the arrow right in the middle of the box that says print. Like it's equidistant from each corner. So it's geometrically right in the centre. And you think, well, maybe that'll make a difference, you know. Fuck. And then the thing that actually annoys me about it more than anything is it starts working. It just starts to work. And there's no explanation, you know. Nothing comes up on the screen saying, I'm sorry that we didn't work before. The reason why we're working now is because there was a problem with the drive thing. And, you know. Even if it just works. And I'm kind of annoyed. I'm like, you're working now. You're working now. You're finally working. You're printing it out now. You know, I mean, imagine he's got one job to do. I mean, if you went to a waiter and you said to him, you know, can I have a coffee, please? He's like, any chance of a coffee? Hello, can I have a coffee, please? Coffee. Coffee. A coffee. Can I have a coffee? A coffee. Can I have a coffee? And then suddenly he just, for no reason, springs into life. And goes into the kitchen and comes back with a tray with 27 coffees on it. So if anybody wants 26 posters imploring people to keep the door shut in case Clive comes in, they're in my bag. Although I might actually need them because Clive will write on them, you know. No, fuck off you fat cunt or whatever. You know. He's funny. Anyway, thanks for coming out and supporting live comedy, ladies and gentlemen. And keep coming back and supporting it. I know there's the Bath Comedy Festival coming up soon. And thanks for your attention. Thanks very much.
What a treat, ladies and gentlemen. Alan Francis. So good to have you back, Alan. Thank you so much for making it. I know he had a hard time getting here today, but wasn't it worth it? Wonderful. Let's give him another round of applause. Always welcome back, Alan. It's always a treat. And we had a lovely two other acts as well, but before we have a round of applause for them, we'll tell you about what's coming up next. Before the festival, which I just alluded to, which is it was going to be 1st to the 18th of April, but we've got so much to fit in. It's going to be 27th of March to the 18th of April, because we've got lots of heats for the new act competition to fit in. Details of that will be coming very soon, but who was at Revolution first night? Anyone? You were there? You were there? We've got another Bath Comedy Club, Revolution on George Street, above Revolution Bath, the nightclub it turns into, on Sunday the 27th of February, so it's a week on Sunday. We've got Aideen McQueen, Mark Mayer, Daniel Dagger, who's in the door today, will be emceeing. And we'll have Alex Kitson, who won the Golden Butt Plug Award last year. And Sam Hawkins, who runs the nights every week at the Saracen's Head. If anyone hasn't been there yet, it's Pay What You Want, up-and-coming young comedians night every week. So we have a mixture of pro comedians and up-and-comers, and that's what we do at Revolution. But they're going to be great. And then on the 4th of February, the Friday after that, 4th of March, sorry, Arthur Smith will be back. To make up for not coming last time. And I'll be telling him to make up some new material, because I did most of it last week. And then we'll have a little break after that for a couple of weeks, and then the festival will start at the end of March. But thank you so much for making it out in the storm. We didn't really get much of it here, but it was all around, and so thank you all for coming and supporting this. It's wonderful, and if you keep buying tickets, we'll get a new fucking stage, because this is really pissing me off now. It's creaking all over the place. Yes, keep supporting live comedy, keep supporting the club, and it's lovely to see you all. The bar will stay open for a bit. Buy me a drink. Thank you very much. And it's over for the other acts. Tom Blummer,